watch this?
How?
How do you watch this?
Dude, I'm gonna pee my pants.
Hello, this is How Do You Watch This, a movie review podcast where each week we review a movie that the other person picked for us in the genre they love, but we don't. I think that's mostly
That's mostly it, but the intense eye contact that I just received, I feel like you saw my soul the whole time.
I was hoping to, like, you know,
have me
read your mind a bit. Yeah, like you would know.
Unfortunately, all I saw were your eyes. That's all I could feel. I was thinking of nothing.
Well, anyway, that's the gist of it. My name's Demi, and I love horror.
My name's Megan, and I love romance.
And our common thread this week is low critic score, high audience score.
Yes, according to Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh yeah, according to Rotten Tomatoes.
I was like, as I was doing, I was like, I mean, we don't need to include that bit, but
I mean, that's what I was looking at. So
yeah, that's what I was also looking at. It's you know, it's dependable,
mostly.
Yeah.
So we picked movies that are actually fun for the audience, I guess, but critics hated.
Yeah.
And I feel like critics were really mean to She's the Man. I was shocked.
I should have read the critic reviews for Final Destination. Maybe during a pause
I mean, Final Destination was is iconic, but I could see why critics didn't like it as much.
Yeah, maybe I'll look at them in a quick little in a little break moment. Yeah, because now I'm like, oh my god, I could actually.
It's probably funny what critics wrote.
Yeah,
about.
We can read a couple. Maybe we'll read a couple just to get the full picture.
Yeah, that's
But I'm not. Well, we'll get into it because it was very interesting to rewatch She's the Man as an adult.
Yeah. Because
that had a chokehold on me.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think it's still a really good movie.
Yes.
I was worried that I would not like it as much. Yes. Like, the humor wouldn't hold, but there were so many scenes that I, just forgot about. And I'm like, this is gold.
It's incredible. I can see how maybe if you only watched it for the first time as an adult, maybe you would be, critical of it. But I don't know.
Some of the jokes were so funny, especially once she's actually at the school.
Oh my god,
it's so funny. But I mean, the concept's goofy. Yeah. It's her dress as a boy's goofy.
But it's also it's based on the Shakespeare play Twelfth Night, right? So it's how goofy is it if it's that
right?
I
guess it's goofy because she looks nothing like
her brother.
The brothers.
I was I kind of pulled away. I was like, if I blur my eyes a little bit, but
maybe
just a smidge. So my sister, we're just hanging out, and she's like, guess what we watched yesterday? And I was like, what'd you watch? And she's like, we just watched She's the Man. I was like, shut up, that's the movie that I'm making Demi watch. And we were talking about it, and she was like, do you remember the day? And I was like, yes, of course I remember the day. There was a day where we literally put it on repeat. We watched it 3 times in a row.
Oh my
and when
God.
I say we watched it 3 times in a row, I don't mean we had it in the background while things were going on. Me and all my younger siblings watched it 3 times in a row straight. And this came out when we were in high school? What year was it?
It was 2009.
Yes.
Yeah.
So high school.
We're in high school.
So that's just
my God,
cool,
it feels
crazy
like it was
fun stuff I did in
middle school.
Yeah.
I guess because I just watched Amanda Bynes for a majority of my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just that's pretty wild to think about. Even fucking put 2 and 2 together. Yeah, it was high school.
Yeah. All right. Well, without further ado, I'll talk a little bit about Final Destination. Genre, horror. Title, Final Destination. Director, James Wong. Released in the year 2000. I feel like this is the kind of movie that could only be released pre 9/11.
Oh, absolutely.
As I was watching it, I was like, this can't have been after.
Oh yeah, this was definitely before.
Yeah. So, snapshot. After narrowly avoiding death, 7 survivors are brutally murdered one by one in horrifically gruesome ways.
Yeah.
Okay, let me pull up my notes.
It's funny because I didn't realize that James Wong directed this, and he's known for the Conjuring series. He's a very big horror director. And I was like, it makes sense he did this, but I don't think he directed any other ones because the first one is the only one that has some sort of ground in reality.
Okay.
The other ones are fucking just batshit. And I think the other directors were like, yeah, I'm just gonna fucking run with this. Because I watched the second one immediately after I rewatched the first one. So I was like, I remember a lot of the other deaths, but I don't remember which ones it was. And I was like, oh yeah, Final Destination 2 just goes off the fucking rails.
We're gonna have to talk about it because you're gonna need to tell me what happens in the ending. The 5th one has the highest critic score of all of them.
It's funny because I don't remember much of the fifth one. I remember I liked the ending, the way it wrapped up, but I don't remember like anything.
Okay,
So
well,
I should probably rewatch it.
sure, as long as you don't make me watch it. Okay. So it opens, my goal to eventually do, like someday I'll be the type of person who retypes her notes and makes them look legible, because literally first thing, creepy monkey in all caps.
I know exactly what you're talking about, though.
Yes, there's a creepy freaking monkey in this dude's room. Like, what? Okay.
And it's the longest intro.
It is an unreal intro. First of all, it's just consistently focusing in on the fan that's blowing.
Yeah, and I was trying to think, I'm like, is there a death related to the fan?
No.
And I was like, no, I don't think there is.
I think it has to do with the whole breeze element, where like when death is coming, there's like a breeze.
Yeah, it was weird. It's just like zooming in on different parts of his bedroom.
Yeah,
but like mostly the fan, and then there's like the monkey and like some like random shit.
It's kind of like foreshadowing where it shows the book Death of a Salesman, and you're like, there's the word death, and then there's just like random. Oh, good job, guys.
Remember, this movie's about death. Don't forget it.
You see they're going to France, like you kind of see his ticket come up, whatever. So anyway, that's like this really freaking long intro. So then it opens on this young high school age boy with a very, very early 2000s haircut is getting ready to go to France with a school field trip. And he has his luggage, and there's a luggage tag on it. You know, one of those ones that they put on your bag, the long paper,
like after you check it in, went to,
exactly. So there's one of those on it, and the mom goes to take it off, and the boy's like, no, leave it on. It made it through one flight, it'll make it through another. And then she's like, superstitions, and she rips the tag off. So this is all the mom's fault.
So the mom killed him. Mom is death.
Yes.
Yep. Noted.
So there's more weird dolls, and as he's sleeping, there's like wind blowing, but the fan isn't on though. Ooh. Yeah. And there's this transition scene where it's like you're looking at the clock and the zeros turn into an 8, so it looks like 180, 1 o'clock, 180, 1 o'clock, and then they're in the terminal.
Yeah. Because the flight is 180.
Yes. So they're at the airport then, and the French teacher is there, and he is dedicated to only speaking French to them. Like, dude, you are literally going to a foreign country with a bunch of teenagers who cannot handle themselves, and you're going to yell at them in French in an airport?
Yeah.
What?
And it's like, I don't know. I don't remember how long they were supposed to be there for, but
10 days, I think.
Yeah, it's like, bro, it's not that big of a deal.
Right,
it's not
you
like
don't
they're
have to
staying
start
there
it
for months, you know?
Right, and even if you want to be dedicated like that in France, sure, but not in the airport where you're worried about them doing stuff that's stupid. Like,
right.
Anyway, so there's the classic girl with her face in a book who understands everything that's being said, and it's just like blasé, like he's telling us to do X, Y, and Z.
Yep. Nerd.
Yeah. And you're like, well, we know who the love interest is going to be, because obviously who wouldn't fall in love with her? And she's very attractive, of course. Yep. She's got bangs, which I'm always a fan of.
Of course. Bangs are the shit.
Yeah. So he's checking his bag. He's getting distracted by all the flight changes because it's the old school. It's not digital at this point in time.
Yeah, it's like
just
the flip card.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's just, he's kind of panicking around. He just seems a little paranoid.
Yeah, and he's clearly afraid of flying, and him and his friends keep making comments about the flight making it safely, which is really interesting because obviously we were very young at this time, but again, it's pre 9/11, so I don't feel like there's that much plane anxiety culturally, but
I think there was, because it's still the idea of flying. It's not like the idea of the plane's going to get hijacked and crash into a building. Right. It's more like it's maybe, I wouldn't say a newer way of travel, but I don't know if maybe not a ton of people have traveled a lot.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't as accessible. Common. I don't know. 2000s, like.
Yeah, no, that's true. I wish that I had more context for it because for me, like, I'm not afraid of the flight making it to the destination. Right. I'm terrified that TSA is gonna suddenly.
I do hate the airport process.
Yeah,
but yeah, I remember like everyone always just being like, "Oh, you're more likely to die in a car crash."
Right.
So like that was just a thing people would just say to help you
cope,
not be as scared. Yeah, flying, and it's like, well, cool. I'm scared of dying in a car crash. Right.
I do think about that statistic sometimes when I'm just driving in my car.
Yeah, it's an awful thought sometimes. Yeah. It's like, I could die right now. Don't watch Final Destination 2.
Okay, no problem. I won't.
We'll ruin everything for you.
So his tag says Final Destination on it because their Final Destination is France. And I was just like, nice. Tons of little synchronicities are happening. So just like different, you know, the flight, I thought the flight number was his birthday or something, but
it was, yeah, the
925.
Yeah, I think the gate or something.
Or the gate. She said, you're right. Yeah. The gate was, and then he was supposed to be seated in seat like row 25 or something. So there was lots of little moments where you're like, ooh.
Yeah.
Then the boys just decide they're gonna poop together.
Oh my god, this conversation was so fucking weird. Because he just comes up, because it's Todd, right? His friend is Todd.
Yes.
He's like, dude, you're gonna go poop?
Right.
Like, out of nowhere.
Dude, I mean, like, what? He's basically saying, because otherwise you're gonna be stuck going to the bathroom, and what if one of the hot girls goes in the bathroom after you?
On the airplane.
Right.
I mean, I guess. I guess? Is this the guys discuss?
Is this what they think about?
They're thinking ahead. I mean, honestly, I would rather use the bathroom before getting on a plane. So yeah, but it's just the way the conversation started. I was like,
exactly. And then also the fact that they both were just like, okay, let's both go in the bathroom and both poop at the same.
Yeah,
could you imagine pooping at the same? Like, I would never say, Demi, let's both go in the bathroom and poop together. I couldn't.
You're like, hey, I'm gonna poop. Stay here.
Yeah, stay here. I'll be back. I'll light a candle. You go to a different bathroom, probably. I could never.
No, it's not like peeing together.
No, peeing is so different. It doesn't come with all the atrocities that come with pooping.
All the trauma.
That is for one person to experience alone by themselves.
Exactly.
Even the idea of doing it in a public bathroom in general is horrifying.
Yeah, with someone you know. Like, it's at least bearable because you're like, I'm never going to see these people again.
Yes,
but it's like, cool, I'm pooping here with my best friend. And she's going to forever remember this experience. Especially if it's awful.
Like, I feel like I could never stop making fun of you if I had to be in there when something horrible was like occurring to you.
Well, I remember when we both went to the bathroom, and I remember when I took the longest pee ever, and you're like laughing in the stall. So imagine if I took a shit next to you. So yeah, I definitely know you would always make fun of me for it.
Oh, right. I'm sorry. I'm reviewing a movie. We're not just reminiscing about... We've talked so long about what it would be like if we had to go to the bathroom together. I just forgot that we were...
We're literally like 10 minutes in the movie.
Not even. Definitely not even. Okay. So they're all nervous about the plane crash and they keep talking about it. And then he ends up switching seats with these two girls. Yeah. And his friend, because his friend is trying to basically like force these girls to sit apart so that he can sit between them.
Yeah.
Or whatever. He just wants to flirt it up with them. And his way of doing that was to say that he's a UTI, which I feel like is the least sexy thing to say.
Yeah. And just to paint a picture, these two guys are like nerdy looking guys, especially Todd. Like, he's definitely like nerd central, and these girls are the, you know, popular girl of the early 2000s, if you can picture that. So
yeah, think Clueless.
That's the dynamic. Yeah.
So then this kid Alex goes and sits up next to his friend Todd, and he tries to open the tray. And the little thingy that holds it pops off, and it's weird. And then it's whatever, the plane starts taking off, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what? I know the plane explodes, so I don't understand what's going on. And I was like, is this a premonition? Turns out it was, because the plane explodes, and it's pretty
it still looks pretty good for that time.
Yeah,
you know,
they did a good job of it. Okay. They had people ripped out of their seats and thrown backwards. It was pretty upsetting. I mean, if you cared about that.
And they like took off, and it was like a minute. They started just fucking crashing. And I was like, damn, I guess I'd rather fucking blow up there than...
So the plane explodes, and then he wakes up, and he's in the back row of the plane, and those girls are once again asking to switch seats with him, and he's all startled and worked up.
Yeah, because it's pretty much the things that he dreamed about is like happening again.
Yeah, like the little bobble thingy pops off on the tray. And I could see that being unnerving.
Yeah,
But
if I had like a dream like that and everything's starting to happen that way, I definitely would have panicked.
But the thing is, the only thing that was repeated in his premonition, it was just the point from when he was seated on the plane and the girls came switched seats with him to the point that like the bobble came off. So I feel like if I had a dream and then I went through the airport and then I went back on the plane and everything that like had happened was repeating itself like to a specific T, that would have made me be like, oh my God, I have to get off this plane.
Right.
But I feel like if I was laying there and there's like one or two little incidents, I would have been like, well, I paid a lot of money, so I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I get, because I was there nothing else?
Because like they talked to him, the little thing he popped off, there had to have been at least one more thing.
I think there was like one more thing that was repeating, but I think the piece coming off the tray was definitely, because that's like, shit, why would I dream of that and then it actually happened? So
yeah, it would definitely be alarming. And at that point he's freaking out and he starts screaming that the plane's gonna explode, which,
just remember, he is also scared of flying, so his reaction is valid.
So they are all forced into the boarding area. Basically, there's like all this panic ensues. He's screaming. The teachers are like following him off the plane. He's being escorted by security. Yeah. This kid, Billy, poor Billy, was like trying to get to a seat, but he was running late. So he gets pulled off. For whatever reason, freaking Carter is like starting a fight with him. So then they both get taken off. So anyway, long story short, they all end up into the boarding area.
And the love interest chick just follows him out because she's like, you know what? Fuck it.
Yes.
Like, I'm not fucking around with this shit.
Which is understandable. It wouldn't be me. I would definitely have just still gone on that plane. I would have definitely died on the plane.
Yeah, I probably would have stayed, especially if I wasn't connected with that group of students. Right. So I'm like, okay, well,
that sucks for you guys. Yeah. So then there's this scene where both teachers are off the plane and they're like, oh, no one's going back on. And they're like, well, one of us has to be there because we have 40 students going to a foreign country and they need a chaperone. Yeah. And so the security's like, fine, one of you can go, but one of you has to stay. And the French teacher was like, you go, it's fine, I'll stay with them. And this teacher is like, no, you're the one who knows French. Right. You go. Yeah. Which makes sense.
Fair, yeah.
And then in 3 hours, they're going to get on the next flight and meet them there. So then Alex is staring out the window at the plane taking off, and Carter comes up to him and starts spewing all this stuff, basically saying it's his fault that they're not on the plane right now and they're going to lose a day in Paris
he's like, you owe me a ticket, my money back, which is fair. It's like, but then again, Carter's a fucking asshole. He didn't have to start shit.
No, he could have just stayed in his seat and been quiet and let Alex freak the heck out. And so then they start fighting each other and like wrestling for all intents and purposes, and all of a sudden the plane out the window blows up. Yep. And
it's like the force is strong enough where it actually shatters the fucking windows of the airport.
Yeah, it's intense. Next scene, they are in a holding room in a circle, and the teacher asks Alex if there's any survivors. And he's like, I don't know. I'm not psychic. I just saw this one thing happen. Right. And the girl, Claire, goes, Claire's the love interest. The girl goes, he's not a witch.
Thanks, Claire. Spelled clear. Because like the subtitles, it's like clear.
No.
Like clear water. But it's pronounced Claire. And that's why I'm like, are they just saying it weird? What? Or like, yeah, it's spelled clear. Like C-L-E-A-R.
That's so dumb.
It's so dumb.
That's ridiculous.
But anyway, yeah.
Well, he's not a witch. And then this agent comes out, and I felt like such a child because he introduces himself as Agent Ween.
Ween and Shrek. No, I was hoping you would bring it up because I'm like, it's too funny.
It was so, I was like, you're joking. You're joking. You can't make a horror movie with those names. That's ridiculous. Of course, it was before Shrek was big, but.
Yes. No, because I think Shrek came out
right around the same
2001.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think
they got the name from Final Destination.
Inspired by.
Yep, inspired, yep.
So Alex is getting interrogated. They're all getting interrogated, but Alex especially, because they're like, this kid is saying the plane's gonna explode.
Yeah, how do you know are you a terrorist?
Right, exactly. Like, what did you do to this plane? And survivor's guilt is starting to hit the others.
Right.
Todd was on the plane with his brother. His brother made him get off the plane to check on Alex. And so his brother George died in the crash. You're seeing that kind of connect with him. The teacher is sobbing. She's distraught because she told the other teacher to get on the plane and that she would stay behind, even though she thought she was doing something good in that moment. They are all questioned. Then they're all back in that holding room and they're reunited with their family. Tears are flowing. Everyone is like hugging each other except for Claire, who is standing in the corner like a moody, sad girl who has no one there for her.
No one comes for her.
Not even one. So they drive her home and drop her off. And he goes to his room and cries in his mom's arms, which is really sad.
Yeah.
And then he's watching the news, which I feel like any therapist would tell you not to do.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Didn't feel like a good move. You really shouldn't, because also something you'll learn as we move forward, he gets very obsessive about everything that's happened.
Yeah.
Very obsessive, which is fair
considering what
he experienced.
Happens,
But he starts studying blueprints, all that kind of stuff. So the next scene, they're at a memorial service at the high school 39 days after the crash, and they're unveiling a commemorative statue. People are all staring at Alex because he's the weirdo. Yeah. Obviously, he saw that the plane was going to explode, so they think he's weird instead of, being amazed by his special powers. So that one couple still can't keep their hands off each other. They're literally walking up with roses to place on the statue, and he is up her butt. Like, they are glued together.
It's really gross.
They might as well have her feet on his feet walking forward, because that's what it's like. And they're talking, and Carter is of course starting shit with Alex again and says, I'm never gonna die.
Which is such a weird fucking thing. Cause he's like, I'm gonna live for them. I'm never gonna die.
Right.
It's like, bro.
You can't actually believe that. No one has ever...
You will die, eventually.
No one has ever lived forever.
But he's obviously kind of an idiot. He's a very pretty idiot, but an idiot.
Yes. Billy then comes up to Alex and he's like, listen, I took my driving test and the person who was in the car with me told me I was gonna die young. Is that true?
Because he passed, but with the lowest score possible.
Right.
I do love Billy.
Oh, I do. Anyway, and then Alex is like, I don't know. And Billy's like, my cousin or whatever is a nurse. Do you think she'll say that I'm not gonna die young? And I was like, oh, you're so dumb. I love you. The teacher is afraid of Alex and doesn't want to talk to him, which I can see being alarmed by him, but also goes against the code of ethics.
Right. And he's also obviously devastated as well. It's not like he's like,
right,
my plan worked, or was being a creep about it.
Right. I don't know if she thinks he caused the explosion.
Yeah.
He misses his friends. Todd, apparently his dad will not let him hang out with Alex now. And no one wants to be around this poor kid.
Right.
Except for Claire, who comes up to him at this point and thanks him because it's because of him that she's still alive. And I was like, finally, someone's appreciating him.
I mean, it's true.
And his little magical ability moment. So there's this weird house shot, and it turns out it's in Todd's house, and it's zooming up to his face. He's looking in the mirror, and the window's open. There's a breeze coming in. Like, going potty, which is okay.
Yeah, and they show him sitting on the toilet and stuff. I'm like, okay, I don't need to see him taking a shit.
Right. Like, we all know what's about to happen. So the pipe starts dripping, and it goes back and forth this time to Alex and then Todd, Alex and Todd. So there's all this stuff about planes all over Alex's desks. Then he sees a picture of Claire come up and on a magazine, and then he's just like, you know what? Let me get my penthouse out and start.
He finds a girl that kind of looks like her.
Oh my god! I was like, stop! That's embarrassing for you.
Men are gross.
So gross.
Teenage boys are gross.
I can't. Literally, you just see a grainy newspaper image of your crush, and you're like, you know what?
After this horrible incident occurred, and you're like,
and you were at the memorial service that day, I can't. I
gotta jerk off.
Just I'm in the mood. Whatever.
You know me.
So then Todd cut himself shaving, and there's water all over the floor coming towards him, and something's about to happen. I knew that there was going to be an attempt on his life. But here's what I thought was going to happen at this point. I thought the whole movie was going to be them all escaping death repeatedly.
Okay.
It's not.
No.
So he's trimming his nose hairs with freaking scissors, and I was like, I could barely watch. I'm not joking. Like, I had my hands over my eyes. I thought he was gonna slip and impale himself with the scissors.
All the movies do this, where it's like, how is it gonna happen? Because they tease it. They'll show a few things. They'll do something. You're like, ugh, and then it's like, no, it's not that. And then like other things will happen. So it's just
Building
like
suspense. Yeah, because there's a hair dryer that's kind of sparking. And he unplugs it just in time before the water touches his feet. He's plugging in the radio. He almost got electrocuted. Oh, it was not the hair dryer, it was the radio. At the same time, there's an owl at Alex's window, which I guess is like an omen.
I guess.
Yeah. But I did see a TikTok the other day where this guy goes, how many owls would you have to see in a day for it to freak you out?
I'm gonna say 2.
2?
Yeah.
Oh, your number's low.
Yeah.
You would only have to see 2 owls?
Yeah, because like in Philly, like in this area, if I'm seeing even 1 owl, but if I see 2 owls, I'm like, all right,
I'm done. Goodbye.
I guess I'm dying. But if I'm in the wilderness, I'd have to see, I don't know.
Because it's like if I was back at my parents' house, I've seen owls.
Right.
Not often.
I've never seen an owl in person except at like the zoo. So,
really?
Yeah.
Oh. I've heard them lots of times. I've definitely seen them a couple of times. But I think for me, like let's say I'm in the woods.
Yeah.
Seeing 1, normal. Seeing 2, they're related, obviously. They're close to each other.
Okay.
Seeing 3, I would start to feel weird. Seeing 4, I would go and hide in the house.
Yeah, 4 would be a lot.
4 would be a lot. I think 4, I definitely would know something horrible was about to happen.
Yeah.
No doubt. 3 is when I would start feeling weird.
I feel like seeing an owl in person would scare the shit out of me.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't like birds.
Oh,
but owls, I think they're beautiful, but they're so fucking eerie. And if I just saw one out in the woods,
that's fair.
Well,
that's fair. Just staring at you with his big eyes.
They just do some fucking weird shit. I'm like, no. No thanks. I don't like that.
The most vivid memory I have of an owl is after me and my ex broke up. The next day, I was driving in my car playing my sad breakup girl playlist.
Right.
And an owl swooped over my car. And owls are my favorite animal. So I was like, it's a...
Oh, you thought it was a good sign.
Yeah, I saw it was a good sign that finally I'm flying away from the horrible ex-boyfriend. Although one time, this is a horrible memory. This is actually my second most vivid memory with owls. One time we were driving.
Wait, how many memories do you have with owls? Because I would be a little concerned now.
I have lots of memories with owls, actually.
How many memories can you have of owls before it becomes concerning?
Wait, maybe this explains everything that's ever happened in my whole life.
Yes, all your fucking weird sitcom love.
Yeah.
It's the owls.
It's the owls.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my dad ran over a baby owl in the car by accident.
Oh, no.
I know. I'm sorry. Anyway.
God, it was vivid.
Well, I didn't see it happen, but we're driving, and it's the back roads, and it's dark.
Yeah.
And he sees a baby owl on the road, and I was like, swerve the car, and he was just like, it's a curvy road, like I don't want to risk everyone in the car. And then God. I was screaming as he did it. It was really horrible. Anyway, my dad is very much a survival of the fittest.
I was gonna say.
Yeah,
it's a survivor, man.
So Todd chokes to death in the bathroom.
Yes.
In a very, very
awful,
very violent way.
Yeah.
I couldn't watch it. I watched it around my fingers like this. Like I saw the top and the bottom. I was horrified.
Because he slips on the water, falls into the bathtub, and then
there's a clothing line hanging up his mother's unmentionables.
And it just wraps around his neck.
Yep.
Cartoonishly, but it's obviously death doing this. And so he just fucking chokes.
And he can't stand up because it's too slippery. And he tries to reach for the cuticle cutters to cut the wire, and he can't do it. It's horrible because he's struggling, and it's a long fucking scene.
Yeah, because you would think, he might get out.
Yeah.
You know?
And I thought maybe he would, and then I realized he wouldn't, and I couldn't watch it. That was awful, and I wrote, thank you, Demi. Literally can't watch. That was so gruesome. I wrote, poor guy.
Yeah.
And then the water goes back into the pipe.
Mm-hmm. Mysteriously.
And that's that. So now, everyone's gonna think, and they do, that he committed suicide. So Alice goes to Todd's house, finds out that he's dead, and Claire happens to be there.
Yeah, and she doesn't ever explain why.
No.
Other than maybe a connection. She feels a connection.
She tells him to get out.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't, and he goes to talk to the parents, and they blame Alex for some reason.
Yeah. Because they were like, he committed suicide because he
felt so much guilt that his brother died and he didn't.
And Alex was like, no, like he wouldn't have done that.
Right.
Like,
we were making plans, blah, 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 which doesn't mean anything. Like making plans with someone doesn't mean that you're not, you know, but he obviously wasn't. We all know that. We're third-party watchers. We saw the horrific scene or watched it through our fingers. He did not die that way. He died at the hand of death. So the next day, Alex goes to Claire's house and wants to know why she was at Todd's. And she's an empath.
She's a fucking weirdo.
She is. She's making art, and some of the art's cool, I guess. But she's very much like classic artsy 2000s. And something from that day is still with you. I know, because I can still feel you, she says.
It's, I guess, like an empath, but it's like weird. I'm like, because is she kind of connected? Like, does she feel?
She felt a connection for the first time with him after he had his premonition.
Right.
And that's why she got off the plane. And she only feels this like connection with him.
Yeah.
And so she feels like there's some still connection to those days.
It's weird because I don't remember if that ever happens in any of the other movies. Like there's some, like they're connected somehow.
Okay. Are the other movies not about there's no repeated characters?
There is a repeated character.
It's him.
I'll say at the end.
Well,
I'll say at the end.
Okay. Sorry. I mean,
I think there's only one
because he might have died.
Yeah, I think there's only one repeated character.
Okay. So they decide to break into the funeral home, and Claire is like getting a rush from it, and I'm like, girl, get some therapy.
Yeah,
this is unnatural. Like, you should not be getting a thrill going and seeing the dead body of your friend.
Right.
That was awful. Like, they walk in and there's like this joke about him looking like Michael Jackson because they made him up so much.
Right. I was like, oh my god.
But like, my best friend, if you were on a table dead, I would not just be like, oh, she's not there anymore.
From reasons unknown, possibly suicide. Like, you don't joke like that.
No. I would,
like, if I died of old age, make fun of me.
Right.
But like,
but not in that way. No.
Awful. It was such a weird joke.
I know. I was like, you guys were clearly not very good friends. Then the world's creepiest mortician walks in. Mm-hmm. I just can't handle him. He was weird as hell.
He's the actor for the Candyman.
That's another
horror movie. But he's just a big, intimidating man.
Right.
If you know the actor.
And he basically ends up saying, in death, there are no accidents.
Yeah, he's like real eerie, and it's like, what do you know? He might be death himself.
Oh,
that's what they kind of seem like he is.
Yeah, that makes sense, because he's basically saying that there's a pattern, and you have to break the pattern if you want to survive. And he's like, see you soon, in this way, like he is expecting them to die soon.
Yeah, so it kind of, I think he's supposed to be death or something.
I could definitely see that.
He's definitely weird.
Yeah.
Says some weird shit, but provides a little bit of like, there's a pattern. You gotta do this. So,
which sticks with Alex.
Right.
They get coffee, Claire and Alex. The mortician was not invited.
Shame.
Yeah, unfortunately. And she says that listening to Alex talk about premonitions, she's decided that Todd must have killed himself, which is like, what is wrong with dude? What? So she just decides that it can't be death. It can't be some accident. It has to have been orchestrated.
Yeah.
And that's when Carter, who's driving by with his girlfriend, just swerves the car around, almost kills poor Billy.
Poor Billy.
Poor Billy on his bike.
Just something's always happening to him.
I know. This poor boy. And it's all because he wants to fight Alex. So he gets all up in Alex's grill. Dude, what? You already had your moments with Alex. I don't know why he's still going after him.
Like on site. Every time. Like, why?
I don't understand it. And then his girlfriend's like, this is ridiculous. I just want to live my life to the fullest. I'm not doing this anymore. Either you're with me or we're done. And she's talking and walking backwards, and she gets hit by a bus.
Yeah, pretty immediately.
Yes.
Where I was like, oh,
really great.
Shit.
Yeah. And she was just like exploded.
Immediately.
And of course the teacher was there. She like came up at one point, so the teacher sees this happen too.
Of course they all just happen to be, I don't know, maybe they are connected in some way.
Right. That they're like drawn to each other like magnets.
Yeah.
So he realizes at this point, because he learns that the explosion that happened on the plane was because of some pump issue that
like
caused ignition. Yeah. So something anyway.
Because it shows on the news
Thank
the
you.
news show, like
on the news, how it was going to happen and what ignition points there were and what was the path of the fire that was caused. And he realizes by holding up a drawing of all their seats and where they sat, that they're all dying in the order they would have had they been on the plane.
Yeah.
And with that reasoning, the teacher would be next. And you see the teacher at her house, and she's on the phone talking to someone about her PTSD. And it sounds like that person's really being supportive and helping her. And she looks out the window, and Alex is outside like a freaking creep.
Yeah.
Just lurking. She called the FBI. And at this point, he's like investigating the car because he wants to make sure, I guess, that her brake lines aren't cut or whatever. Don't know why he thinks he's going to outsmart Death, who literally managed to kill poor Todd in the most horrific way possible.
Yeah.
But the FBI shows up and takes him, and that's when the wind starts blowing into her house, and you know Death is coming. The teacher finds this old record, puts it on, and you see the shadow of Death in her teapot, which you saw again, like right before Todd died and whatever. It's just this, like blurring of
just like a shitty CGI black shadow.
Exactly. And the stove is on, and then the flame goes out, and you're like, is she gonna die? Is it gonna explode? And she lights a match and relights it. At the same time, Alex is talking to the FBI agents, saying that he's worried that being trapped at the FBI agent, like, I almost said their house, but the facility will end up leading to more death. And they're like, well, we don't have anything to hold you on, so go ahead, bye.
Right.
And he immediately goes and leaves. And the one agent says that he almost believed Alex. And the other one said, you know what? Sometimes you give me the creeps.
This is Ween and Shrek, by the way.
Right. Thank you. Ween and Shrek. Back to the house. The teacher saw something. I guess it was her mug. It was like the high school mascot. And she flung the hot water, and she decides she's going to self-medicate with alcohol instead. And the mug breaks on the bottom, and it's leaking vodka. It gets on her computer, which I don't feel like this would actually happen this way, but
no,
it's one of those old computers, and it gets in there. The computer short circuits and explodes, impaling her neck as she bleeds profusely. At which point she goes and falls and slips on her own blood or on the water.
Yeah.
And she reaches up for a towel that she had thrown on the knife rack, which she grabs. The knife rack falls over. The knife stabs her. And her house is on fire, and then the oven explodes.
Everything that could go wrong is going wrong right now.
Yes. And I almost made this my most memorable scene because it's the most insane death that's ever occurred. This was almost comedic. And then freaking Alex runs into the house.
Right.
Sees her laying there, took the knife out, which you never take out a knife.
Awful.
You never take out a knife.
She's got like 3 or 4 like in her. Like, it's not just one knife.
No. He takes out the knife, which, if you don't know this already, listener, do not take out a knife, because that's blocking the whatever the cut is from bleeding internally more severely. And also his fingerprints.
Yeah.
He runs out of the house explodes. Hitchcock happens to see this all happen because, again, they're all weirdly connected. This movie. All right. So Carter scares Hitchcock again just by like driving up to him when he's on his bike.
Yeah.
And Carter's just the worst. He's the worst. Carter wants to carve into the memorial statue his girlfriend's name, since she's dead now. And that's when Claire shows up, and she said, I wanted us all to meet because we need to find out who's next. And they're going to go find Alex. So she's like, okay, let's all split up. I'm going to get out of the car here, and you guys move forward. Well, wouldn't you know, Alex just happens to be there at the exact spot she got off. She spent 3 seconds looking for him. So they're philosophizing on the beach. You know, he's talking about, do you think that the plane is still out there somewhere in another reality, blah, blah, blah. You know, the way teenagers do.
Right.
She starts talking about how her dad died when she was younger, and her whole life was ruined after that because her mom married a douchebag, blah, blah, blah. And then they all are together in the car, and they decide they're going to go to her dad's cabin in the woods where they can hide out from death. And they want to know who's going to die next. And he's like, it doesn't matter who's next because we're all on the list. Right. We're all going to die. It shouldn't matter which order you're going to die in. And Carter's losing his freaking mind. He's like, it's gonna be me. I know it's gonna be me. And if it's gonna be me, it's gonna be all of us. I'm gonna take us all out. This is my most memorable scene because Carter, I've literally never disliked a character more. Like, he already was the worst character, but then him doing this.
Oh my God.
What is wrong?
Literally out of his mind.
No, absolutely. So he slams on the gas and he goes to kill them. He wants to have control in this moment. Billy takes his seatbelt off. You know, again, I'm thinking he's going to slam the brakes. Little Billy's going to go through the window. But no, Carter stops on the train tracks and they're freaking out and he won't he won't move. He's like, this is how I'm going. You know, I'm in control.
The train's like on the way.
Right.
Coincidentally.
Course. Yeah, it just so happens. So they scramble out of the car. And then all of a sudden, Carter has this moment where he decides he doesn't actually want to go out this way. But now he can't get out because death is trapping him in the car. He can't remove his seatbelt. He can't.
The car's not turning on.
Alex manages to save Carter just in time by ripping him out the window. At that point, the car is torn in two. Into little scrap pieces. And then they're all screaming at each other on the side of the road, of course. And Billy's freaking out. He's like, what the hell? This is ridiculous. Like, why are you doing this? And then the train hits one of the remnants of the car and it slices Billy's head off. And then at this point, that's when Claire just starts calling Alex baby. She just starts talking to him. She's like, baby.
I know. She's like, baby, stop. And I was like, what? When did this happen?
Yes. I would never have the audacity to call someone who I never even went on a date with, who I never shared one intimate moment with. They didn't kiss. They haven't held hands. But no, she's calling him baby.
Like I said, Claire's a little fucking out there. She is.
She really is. And at this point, Carter's like, you guys need to go because the police sirens started. Right. So then they go. He goes to the cabin because apparently Alex is going to be next, according to him. He's like, okay, basically what happened was they learned that Billy wasn't supposed to be next. It was supposed to be Carter. Yeah. But because he saved Carter's life, it bypassed Carter and moved on to Billy. And so now it's going to continue in order. So next would be Alex. So he's in this cabin and he is baby proofing the whole cabin, being super careful, wearing gloves when he opens tin cans, trying to be super conscientious and careful, and he taped everything to the walls and stuff. I don't know why he thinks that he's going to, like, something crazy isn't about to happen, right? But whatever. The girl is back at her house and the FBI shows up there and she ends up going up to them and being like, listen, I'll go with you. I'm worried about him. She's worried about Alex. She doesn't think he's going to be able to survive on his own. So she was like, I'll go with you if we go to the place. And they're like, no, we'll take care of him. We'll get him in custody. We'll keep him safe. You stay here. So she does. But then that's when Alex realizes he changed seats with those girls. So he wouldn't have been next. Claire would have been next. Yep. And he's freaking out, and that's when the police show up to arrest him, and he jumps into a canoe and he starts battling away to try to get to Claire in time to save her freaking life. Yep. And then her poor dog is outside during this really vicious storm.
Like, violent. There's lightning just striking the ground in front of this dog.
Why is your dog outside during this? And there's this electrical wire that gets let loose and it's like a vicious snake just like is flying all over the place.
Like, this whole scene was so fucking just insane because it was like the wires going crazy. It's just so, I mean, none of it's realistic, but like that was the most like, okay, like,
that's never that's not how electrical wires
that's not how shit works.
No. So she's gonna go save her pup, even though it's gonna possibly risk her life. And I was on board with this. Yeah, I would have done the same thing. Right. Obviously, my dog never would have been outside during the storm in the first place. But whatever. Yeah, the breeze starts. You know she's about to die. So the FBI is chasing Alex through the woods. Claire almost died. Alex almost dies. There's like this whole thing of like they're about to go. They're about to die. No, they're gonna live. The electric cord goes off into an exploded pool, and the poor puppy almost dies. Thank God he gets away. A tree falls on Alex and he starts drowning in a puddle of water, but manages to remove himself from that. Claire is climbing her house at the same time and climbs into her room at the same time that all the outlets in her house start exploding. She gets into her car, something falls through the window, she tries to leave, blah, blah, blah. It's just all crazy. Long story short, she revs her car out of the garage. Alex shows up. There's an electrical cord on the top. She can't get out of her car. Right. And he's like, stay where you are. You're grounded. Yeah. Like with your tires of your car. But then a fire starts under the car. So he's like, I'm going to save you. Like, you won't have much time, but get out and go. So he's going to kill himself for her. He's going to jump in to the storm to stop. So if he dies next, then she'll be bypassed. And he's like, I'll always be with you.
Like, okay. It's been like 5 days, maybe. And during none of that time did you ever, I don't think they kissed once the entire movie. No.
Yeah, there's no, I don't get it. Anyway, he grabs the wire, the car explodes, he flies into the garage, his hand is fried. The police show up, they do CPR. Then there's a really bright light, and you see an airport walkway. And I was like, this is heaven?
It's an airport.
It's an airport? But no, it's 6 months later. They are on a French airplane. Carter, Alex, and Claire all get off. Alex's hair is way better.
Yes.
Claire is blonde. They're having a drink in Paris, and they're talking basically like, can you believe that we all ended up here together?
Right.
And Carter's talking about how they won, they beat death. And Alex can't let it go. And he pulls out the airplane layout again, because apparently it's in his back freaking pocket. And Carter was like basically saying, oh, you know, we skipped it. Maybe it'll all start again. And then Alex starts to have a premonition.
Yeah.
And then Claire starts having a premonition, and whatever.
It's like they just start seeing things more clearly around them.
Right.
That seems dangerous. And he sees the 180 as a sign.
Yeah.
Which relates back to the plane.
Right. And then he almost gets hit by a bus, but Carter saves him. And then the movie ends by Carter getting killed by a giant marquee sign falling. So Carter's dead. So the only people who survived in this whole movie were Claire and Alex. And you know that they're about to have to fight for their lives.
Yes.
Moving forward.
Yes.
Okay. So that's Final Destination. Let me give you. So most memorable scene, like I said, was the whole scene with the train.
Yes.
Scene that should be deleted was Todd's death. That was way too gruesome. The other ones were campy enough.
Right.
But his death scene was horrible, and I hated it. Main character, smash or pass. I said pass.
Fair.
Main villain, smash or pass. Technically the main villain is Death, but I decided to go with Carter, and I said pass.
Yeah. He was a fucking prick.
How likely are you to survive in the situation? I said a 3. I gave myself slightly higher than a 1 because I'm cocky, and I like to believe that maybe I could puzzle my way out, but also I really don't think I would. I think I would definitely be dead.
Yeah.
Would you recommend to a non-horror fan? No. Things of note, critic rating was a 36.
Yeah.
Audience score was a 68%. The film itself was originally an X-Files idea for an episode, which explains why a lot of the actors are X-Files actors. And I gave it 2 hearts.
2 hearts, okay.
I kept it kind of low. And I'll go into why I kept it that way, and then I'll read some critic reviews. So basically, I didn't like the gruesomeness of the death, at least the first death. Like that, I think just Todd's death in general took it down a whole star for me, because I was like, that was really bad. The character writing, I don't feel like was super good at all.
No.
You know, the characters were pretty two-dimensional. Their relationships weren't fleshed out at all. There was not a lot of any of that. So that made it lose some points. I feel like it's probably similar in that way to Disturbing Behaviors, in that, you know, it's silly and massive death and stuff, but I enjoyed Disturbing Behaviors more. Maybe it's because it also ended on a happier note.
I think Disturbing Behavior was definitely a little goofier.
Yes.
Which made it more fun to watch. Whereas Final Destination, especially the first one, it's not as goofy as like the other ones get.
Yeah.
And the other ones have a lot more death scenes. So it's just like a constant like, how is it gonna happen? And it's always like a fucking insane. I will just say one of the death scenes. Yeah. This guy dies, but he's leaving his fire escape, right? He's climbing down the steps. He falls like at the bottom. And he's on the ground, and the fucking ladder falls and impales through his eye. And that's how he dies. God. And it's like, it literally falls and stops here. And it just falls and somehow impales him. So just to give you an idea of how ridiculous they get, that's a good one for you. Thank you. And as for survival, I will just say you will not survive because you cannot survive at all.
Oh, so they all die.
They all die. So
including Alex. Does Alex die in the very end?
So Alex dies. He dies in the second one. I forget how. It's pretty much a newspaper thing.
Oh.
Claire is alive, but she puts herself in a mental institution and keeps herself in a padded room.
Oh.
And so she does survive for a while and then ends up helping the main character. Doesn't end well. But pretty much the only way you could supposedly survive is if you kill someone that was not intended to die in that
my god, how did they discover this?
That is in the 5th movie.
Shut up.
I forget who says it, but that is their thing where they're like, you have to sacrifice someone for your own life.
Stop. Do they do that? Is that how it ends?
So, okay, spoilers if you are interested in watching Final Destination 5. So I forget what exactly happens. I know they end up killing the one, I think it was like the boyfriend character ends up killing for the girl. So they think they're safe. And then it ends with them on the plane. And it's the same plane in this first movie.
Shut up.
And so they see...
How does it circle?
It's because you don't think that the 5th movie is a prequel, but it's secretly a prequel movie. And so you see them on the plane, you see Alex and them leaving, and then they like look at each other. I was like, and they die on the fucking plane. And it was like, it was such a cool way to wrap it.
Yeah, that's a really cool ending.
So it was really, really cool. But I don't remember a lot about the 5th movie other than like that stuff.
Well, that makes sense why that would then get a higher critic rating.
But yeah, I apparently just can't fucking survive.
Well, I will have to change my score to a 0.
So sorry. I mean, you could probably survive for a bit. If you were like Claire, if she stayed in the padded room, she probably could have survived, but you would be stuck in a padded room. So
for like however long you live.
Yeah.
Here's some critic reviews.
Oh, great.
You can cut out as many of them as you'd like, but I'm going to read the couple of the top ones. You'll laugh, but you'll hate yourself by the time you're out of the theater.
Valid.
John Hartle.
Thanks, John.
It's hard to root against death when the people involved are never brought to life in the first place.
That's a good one.
Sean Means. That was really good. It starts by cheating death and ends by cheating us. Jay Carr.
Damn. Okay.
The main problem is that Morgan and Wong don't seem to have a clear idea of what they want. Campy, schlocky, slasher, flick, or moody intelligent thriller, and as a result, they create neither. Phoebe Flowers. And Final Destination, Video Store Bins by Robert Cashel.
Damn. Critics are harsh. I will say, I think it got higher ratings at the time from audience because it was such a new concept.
Yeah.
And it really was what everyone just talked about because it just makes you think like, oh shit, like death can happen in any fucking batshit way, and they made fucking 5 movies out of it. So
right.
It is successful. It's a staple in horror, but the first one I feel like it's fine. My favorite is definitely 2 or 3. They're not good, but they just make me laugh. So I remember those a lot more clearly than the first one. So now you got your first taste of Final Destination.
My first and final.
Okay, so my movie was She's the Man, and director Andy Fickman. Year release 2006. My snapshot is Vi pretends to be her twin brother Sebastian in order to join the school soccer team after her school cut the girls' team. Chaos ensues as she slowly falls for Hunky Duke, while Olivia slowly falls for Seb, quote unquote. So, She's the Man. I feel like it's a classic staple in teenage, at least teenage girls' history. But
yeah, or Brett if also, you're my brother, because
Brett also likes the movie. So I guess just teenage. I mean, Amanda Bynes was the shit, you know? So.
Well, I think it's also if you had a sister, like my brother had a sister who was in high school, so he was forced into loving it, and he had no choice.
Like, I want to say Amanda Bynes had, cause she's very pretty, she's funny, quirky. Like I feel like she probably had a lot of crushes from guys too, so I feel like guys would also watch her content. I could be wrong about that. So anyway, so the movie starts and it opens up and it's a bunch of people playing soccer on the beach. Amanda Bynes is there, and it's just like the credit scene. But
and never could I ever do so much running in a bikini top.
No, it's bikini top, like jean shorts.
Yes,
and they're on the beach sand and they're playing soccer.
Yes,
so that's
which
impressive.
Would be that has to be close to impossible, and then also to stay decent the whole time.
Yeah, so she's playing, and then her boyfriend Justin. He's there. He's just like a typical jock. Yeah. And he also plays soccer. And then like after they're done playing, he's like, oh, you're better than half the guys on the team. And she's like, I'm better than most of them. And then the next day they realized that the girls' soccer team was cut. And so she's on the team with a few girls, and they approached the coach, and he's just like, well, you know, not enough girls signed up. And she's like, okay, well, we want to try out for the boys team then. And he's like, girls are not faster than boys or more athletic. And he's like, it's a scientific fact. It's just like an asshole. I'm like,
right.
He's also a scientific fact.
He's also weirdly rhyming. He just keeps
he does.
It's as simple as that. It's a scientific fact. Like,
yeah. And then the boys are there. They come up, including her boyfriend Justin, and the coach was like, oh, the girls want to try out for the boys team. And they're all like, ha ha ha, what? And then Vi is like, wait, you said I'm better than half the guys on the team. And he's like, what? I never said that. And she's like, you literally said that. And he's like, no, I didn't say that. End of discussion. And she's like, okay, end of relationship.
Love that line.
And they fucking leave. So obviously her boyfriend's a piece of shit. Well, ex-boyfriend. It's funny because I'm like, where have I seen this man before? He is the main character in Step Up 2, which is funny because Channing Tatum is the main character in Step Up 1.
Shut up. That is so funny.
Yep. And I think this was before Step Up because Channing Tatum said this was his first leading role.
Was it really?
Yeah. And I had a feeling, I was like, he looks so baby in this. He looks so baby. But Step Up was also done in the same year.
Okay.
So.
I remember being like, oh my God, who is this man?
I know. He's so cute in this movie. He's so cute. Anyway, moving ahead. Okay. So then her full name's Viola. The names are weird because, like you said earlier, it's based on the Shakespeare play, which I never heard of. I didn't even know.
Yeah, that's not one of the ones that I read, and I'm surprised. I honestly, considering who I was in high school, I'm very surprised I didn't read it.
Yeah, it's all the names are like the same. Most of the names. So that's why there's a lot of weird names in this whole movie. And it's basically the same story. So if you know it, you know it. So Vi comes home and Vi's mom surprises her with these gowns because she wants her to be like a debutante. And I wanted to look this up more because I wasn't sure what the culture was behind it, like a debutante and the country club stuff. But pretty much the mom is in charge of this debutante club.
Yeah, it's a like very southern thing. Yeah. And it's a very white thing.
Yeah, it's a classy girl thing.
Yeah, it's like I think because I've watched a lot of films with debutante balls and like shows and stuff like that, but I've never actually looked into it. I think what it is it's a coming into society thing.
Okay, so the mom wants Vi to obviously be like more girly, wear these gowns, and Vi's not like that. She's a tomboy. She loves soccer, and so she doesn't want to be a debutante, but then she tells mom like, well, you can be happy because the soccer team is not a thing anymore. And mom's like, oh, like, really? You're not gonna play soccer anymore?
She's so happy.
So her parents are divorced and they don't communicate with each other. So then Vi ends up seeing her brother in his room, and so the whole thing is the mom thinks Sebastian's at the dad's house, the dad thinks Sebastian's at the mom's house, but he's kind of floating because he has a band and they got a gig in London. So then he tells Vi, hey, I'm gonna be gone for like 2 weeks, can you cover for me? And she's like, what the fuck like do I do?
Right.
And he goes to
he says tell him I've got something like mad cow disease.
Yes.
And I remember that because I vividly remember rewinding and playing that over and over again. We thought that was the funniest excuse of all time.
So any excuse to cover for 2 weeks, and he's currently, I guess, transferred to Illyria.
He got kicked out of Cornwall, which is the school they were in. I forget what he did, but he got kicked out.
Yeah, I don't remember. But he's kind of a rebel-ish type of guy,
he's a musician.
I guess. Yeah, he's, you know, like
not like
that.
other boys.
Yeah, like that vibe. And Illyria is the rival team. Well, the soccer teams are, but rival school, I guess. And I thought this whole time they were in college, and didn't know until I rewatched that there was high school. Yes. I was like, they do not look like high school.
No, I feel like I remember thinking it was college as well, but definitely in high school I knew. I think because like the
dorm situation. Yes, so it just felt like college, but it is high school. So Vi gets the idea that she's just gonna dress up like Sebastian and take his place, because if she can join the soccer team, she can go against Justin and kick his ass at the next game. Yep, that is her plan. So she asked Paul, a friend of hers who's like a stylist, she's like, I need you to turn me into my brother. And he's like, you're out of your mind. That's not gonna work. And she's like, please, please, please. So then cue montage. It's just like the goofiest montage. They're trying fake mustaches even though the brother has no facial hair. And they're like doing all this stuff. She's trying to mimic like men's mannerisms and just all this like dumb shit to try and be a man. So then she makes her first appearance as Sebastian, and I don't know what it is, but she just like does not look good as a man. No.
She's got a major baby face.
She's just like a baby.
Yeah,
face.
she looks like if she was a like for her presenting masculine, like she looks like she's a baby face boy. Like they do in one scene, say like, would you skip a grade or something? Because
she looks young.
She's soft. Looking.
She's very soft featured, and so she gets out of the car. She's got a wig on, and she's like, I can't do it. And Paul's like, you're acting like a girl. You need to go out there. We've practiced. You got this. And she has this like awful guy voice that she puts on. Oh my God. And it's so I wish I could mimic it because she throws an accent into it.
Yes. And then some of the things she says, it's like, oh my God.
She's just like very exaggerated. Yeah. And she's just calling people like G Money and just like a brethren. Just this slang. And everyone's like, what the fuck? Like, this is a weird fucking dude.
Yes.
So she's making it through to the school. It's like kind of chaotic. She makes it to the boys' dorm area. And it's even more chaotic because boys are just doing whatever the fuck they want. So she's kind of like, oh my God.
I thought that was what college was going to be like when I went to college. I was so scared.
Yeah, no. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe, but when I walked through the boys' dorm, it wasn't that terrifying.
So she makes it to the room, and Channing Tatum's in there topless. He's topless a lot in this movie, which why not? And his name is Duke, and there's two other guys in there too. And she's like, hey, I'm Sebastian. I'm here. It's your new roommate. And they're like, okay. And so she's trying to ask about like the soccer team. Like, oh, do you guys play? And when the tryouts and stuff. And Duke's like, yeah, I play this. And the other two guys, they're not roommates, but they're in the, I think, next door, and they also play. So they're like, cool. So she's trying to get that information. And as she's unpacking, a boot falls out and tampons are in it. And immediately all of them are like, yo, what's that?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh. And Vi's like, I get bad nosebleeds. And I know it's like goofy, but like I put it in my nose.
That's what Beckham does.
Yeah, that's what Beckham does. And they're like, no way. And Vi's like, take whatever this part is and take it apart and you stick it up. And I feel like it would actually work.
It would probably work very well. So they managed to get out of that situation. So the next day or the same day, it's tryout. The coach is like real mean looking, and he's walking through and he's like, shirts and skins, and Vi's like, I need to be a shirt because I'm allergic to the sun. So he's able to be a shirt. Yes.
And they do their whole tryout, and Vi's kind of struggling a bit because it's
more intense
than I think she's used to. So she ends up getting second string, which is
not first string.
Yeah, first string is the plays, and second string just kind of sits out.
They're backup.
Right. So that's disappointing, but she goes to the locker room and everyone's like, shower time. She's like, what?
Yeah.
Shower time. And she slowly starts getting dragged to the shower room until the coach is like, hey, you got to go to the principal's office. And then she's like, oh, thank God. So she's just like,
I know. I can't imagine, especially with the binding around her breasts.
Yes, yeah.
Could you imagine?
Because she gets into the principal's office, and at this point she thinks she's caught. So she starts taking her binding off, which why would you do that?
I don't know why that would be your first instinct, especially in the principal's office.
No. So she's taking the binding off.
I'm sure it was uncomfortable, but
yeah, I'm sure it was awful. And she's like, oh, Sebastian's file. And so she gets up to go look for the file in the case, and the principal's not in the office at this point. She's just like waiting, and she's looking through, and she sees a file, and it's fucking huge.
Yes.
And then the principal walks in, and she closes it, and her fucking binding gets caught in it. And I'm like, why? This does not have to be this chaotic.
No.
And then the principal, the headmaster, he's like, oh, I just wanted to welcome you. And he's like, welcome to Illyria.
Welcome to Illyria. Dude, I used to sing that with my college name put in there instead. I was just like, Oh my god, so good.
So obviously this principal is unhinged, and they pretty much welcome them because they used to be a transfer student, and so they wanted to kind of act like a big brother to a fellow transfer student, and that was like the main reason for him calling Vi into the office. It wasn't because he was caught.
It was just to be like,
Hey,
be helpful in the transition, which is nice.
Which is nice of him, yeah. He's a little goofy.
He's also perched on the chair, as I am actually right now. He's perched like an owl, doing the owl sit.
Yeah. He's just very unhinged. So he dismisses Vi. Vi leaves the office and immediately bumps into a woman named Olivia. And they drop stuff on the floor, and then the principal makes a weird comment like, oh, like already interacting with the opposite sex. Sexual tension and all that. It's weird. I'm like, bro, they're high school. Like, what are you doing?
Does he talk about abstinence or something? I can't remember.
Yeah, he's like, abstinence is key.
Yeah.
And he awkwardly just goes back into the office. Vi immediately compliments Olivia's shoes, and Olivia's like, oh yeah, I got them from Abercrombie, and we're like, oh my god, you still have shoes there?
Yeah.
And Olivia's like, wow, usually guys aren't interested in that, and Vi was like, oh yeah, I gotta go do guy stuff. So Olivia's already like, oh, like this guy's different. It's lunchtime, and the principal's like giving the lunches. They're like, yeah, whatever you want, like have a bit of this and this. And Vi leaves, and then the next person in line is like, can I have this? And they're like, no. So obviously the principal has favorites. So Vi's bringing their lunch to the table where Duke and the other two guys are at. And they're like talking a little bit, and she brings up the game for Cornwall that's coming up, and Duke's like, why do you care that much? And Vi like, oh, my sister used to date this douchebag named Justin there. And Duke was like, oh, I like made that guy cry during the game. And Vi was like, oh, like that was you? So then at this point, Olivia comes into the cafeteria, and everyone's like, oh shit, and Duke has a huge fucking crush on her, and
Malcolm is in tow as well.
Oh my god, Malcolm, yes. So Olivia sits down, and then Malcolm is this just typical preppy. I don't want to say nerd. He's kind of like
nerdy because he just gives off predator vibes.
Yeah, he's also very into Olivia. So he also sits at the table and tries to talk with her, and she's just not interested. After that whole situation, Vi tries to go take a shower at night, and so they're in the shower room, it's empty, she's like, great, and she's dancing, taking off her like wrap and stuff, and then Malcolm walks in, and he's like, what? You're not wearing shower shoes. You need to be wearing shower shoes when you're in here. And he's like the dorm director. So he's already a pain in the ass. And Duke walks in, and this scene just makes me laugh so hard every time. He walks in and takes a towel and smacks the shit out of the back of Malcolm's head, and apparently it actually hit the eye of the actor, so his reaction was legit.
Oh my god.
It's like shriek. Like, I don't know how they didn't laugh, because I would have peed my pants the way he responds, but I can only imagine because he fucking flings the towel hard as shit.
So bad.
It must have hurt so bad. So obviously no one takes Malcolm seriously, and also Duke hates him because he's also interested in Olivia. So now Vi is like, I can't take a shower, so Vi goes to leave and heads out. So then at this point she has like a weird nightmare. She's playing soccer, but she's in that giant debutante dress that the mom got for her, and she ends up like tripping and falling on her ass. And then it starts raining in the dream, but then she wakes up to water just being poured in her face, and I forget what this is called.
Hazing.
Yes. I'm like phasing, like hazing. Yes. So all the soccer players get all the newbies and take them to the shower room, and they're all in fucking masks and shit, and it's at night, and they're like, remove your clothes, and so they start moving their clothes, but Vi sneaks away and pulls the fire alarm and is able to avoid the fucking situation. Horrible situation. So the next day Vi calls Paul, and she's like, I need you to get me. I can't be here anymore. This is too much. This is a horrible idea. And Paul's like, no, I have a plan. I have an idea to make you look cool. He's like, no, everyone thinks Vi is just
such a weirdo.
So weird, which makes sense. She's being very weird, trying to act like a guy.
Like if she had just acted like her regular self, she probably would have been fine.
Yeah, but she's just like very weird about everything. So then they're in Cesario's. And fun fact, this is the name that Viola's character in The 12th Night originally had. So in the story, she didn't pretend to be her brother. She just pretended to be a man, and the name was Cesario.
Oh, that is fun.
Yeah, so that's the name of the pizza place, and Vi walks in, and Duke and the three guys are at the table, and they're like, shit. They're like, just pretend there's like
make it look like there's no space. Yeah.
And so I, of course, is like, yo, what's up? And they're like, hey. And at this point, Paul's at the table, kind of like disguised, I guess. He's like, okay, girl number one, come in. Right. So the girl number one is, one of her soccer friends. And she has like the shortest skirt on and the small top, and she's hot as hell, walking up to Vi, and she's like, oh, Sebastian, I've missed you. And Vi's just like, well, you know what it is, new school, new bay pool, and just basically acting nonchalant. Yeah. While these girls are pretending that Sebastian is like the dude, like the coolest, hottest guy. And so she's just like, I just like miss you. I think about you all the time.
In the late.
Yeah, at night. And then Duke and them are like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So she leaves, and then another girl comes in. Yep. But before she comes in, Vi's like, I tapped that. Yeah. You know, girls. And the other girl comes in, and she's like, oh my God, Sebastian, I can't believe we broke up. She's like, I just wasn't woman enough for you. And Duke's like, what the fuck? Are you fucking kidding me? And before she leaves, she like stops, and Vi like smacks her ass. Yes. So this is working very well, because
they're starting to be like, oh, what is it that we don't realize about him?
What is getting Sebastian have that we don't? But then Monique shows up, and at this point, Vi walked down a little bit, so Monique just sees the back, like, of the head, thinking it's Sebastian. So Monique walks in, and she calls Sebastian, and Paul's like, shit, we gotta get out. And so Vi's trying to avoid Monique.
So she's like, Monique can't see her face. Yeah.
And she's like, we're done. I'm breaking up with you. Like, I don't want to be with you. Yeah. And Monique is like, no, like, we need to talk and all this stuff. And there's this whole thing in the pizza place. Yeah. And then the final thing.
Yes, I was hoping you were going to quote this.
When I close my eyes, I see you for what you truly are, which is ugly. And this is the point where Monique just starts crying and runs out. Everyone cheers. And Duke and them were like, yeah, like, you sit with us. And so everyone loves Vi now, Sebastian. At school, all the girls are like, hey, Sebastian. All the guys are like high-fiving. So he's the shit now. The plan worked. And so they're in class. It's like a lab science class. And they're talking a little bit with Duke and them, and then her phone fucking rings, and it's Barbie girl. So it's just like always something happens, and it's like, Jesus. So then Olivia walks in, and Duke's like, fuck. He's like, oh my God, she's in this class. And Vi's like, oh dude, stop blushing, that's embarrassing. Duke's like, I'm not blushing. And they all get partners, and Duke gets partnered with
Eunice, yes.
And Eunice is just this poor girl in these fucking braces.
Huge. Yeah, it's like that. Yes, the headgear.
And she's just like,
she's like very awkward and very sexual.
Yeah, she's like,
she's ready to get it. Yeah.
And then Vi pairs with Olivia, and Vi's like, oh, Olivia. And Olivia's like, oh, like, hey, like, excited. And Duke's like, dude, you gotta like trade with me. And he's like, I can't, I said her name out loud, like, I can't do that. So then they're sitting next to each other, and Vi's telling her, hey, like, I'm not that cool at dissecting, you can handle most of it. And Olivia's like, wow, like, guys, you know,
don't
like,
usually own up to that.
Yeah, own up to that. And then Malcolm sees their chemistry, and Malcolm's like there too, and he pulls this paper out of, I guess that was sticking out of Vi's bag, and was like, papers need to stay away from the burners because it's dangerous. And Olivia grabs it, and it's lyrics. So these are her brother's music lyrics. Right. Olivia starts reading, and she's like, wow, this is like beautiful. And Vi's like, yeah, you know, I'm pretty good, whatever. And then Malcolm is like, oh, I write songs too.
And his song is all like, I'm outside watching you through the window.
I see you through your window. Yes. And he just starts singing like that. And you see like the actress for Olivia like trying not to laugh. She like turns to the side, and I just could not bear it. Ugh. So Malcolm is just trying his hardest, but he's just a fucking creepazoid too. So then After class, Duke pulls Vi aside. He's like, listen, I will help you get to first string if you can convince Olivia to go out with me. And Vi's like, sweet, this is perfect. I'll definitely do that. So then she's practicing with Duke, you know, a little montage thing. And then it cuts to Malcolm, and he has a pillow of Olivia and like photos of her.
It's so horrifying.
But they're like creepy photos from like, a distance.
Yes, he's clearly following her.
Yeah, and he's talking to his tarantula, Malvolio.
Yeah.
And he's just pretty much like, it's not fair, you know, all this stuff. There's something with Sebastian. I don't trust him, which is true. Yeah. He's onto something. And, you know, the tarantula is listening, I guess.
Yes, and he's like, let's go for a walk.
Yeah. So then the next day, Vi is talking to her brother on the phone. He said things went really well. And the headmaster sees Vi talking on the phone, and Vi's messing with the wig.
Yes.
It's like itchy.
Yes.
She's like scratching.
I could not be in a wig for that, especially with Vi's length of hair. She has long hair.
I know it's only 2 weeks, but I'm like, maybe you should just cut it.
I feel like yes, if that's what you're going for.
If you're playing soccer and shit, I'm like,
yes, how is that
on?
Like, I don't know what magic you're working, but I don't know. I can't even wear a wig for like at the end of our Halloween party. I was like, oh my God, get this off of me.
No, it's awful. So she's messing around with it, and the headmaster comes up to her and he's like, you know, you should accept you should just remove the wig. Makes it think again that he's onto her. Yeah. But then he's like, just accept your male pattern baldness. I did. And honestly, the ladies kind of love it. And so he's just like trying to be nice. Yes. But every time it makes it think that he's knows something's up. And he doesn't. So then Malvolio, the tarantula, goes missing. And Malcolm's giving out these posters. This fucking tarantula. So during that class, Vi brings up Duke to Olivia. Was like, oh, like, what do you think? And Olivia's like, not my type. Like, and Vi's like, well, I think there's more to him, you know, than what you see. Because Olivia's like, oh, she's just pretty much saying he's a jock, you know, he's just a hot jock. So Vi's like, just think about it, you know. And Olivia's like, okay, like, I'll think about it. But she brings up that Vi's the only one that hasn't tried anything with her, and you can tell Olivia's really into Vi at this point, and Vi's like, oh, like, you're not my type, right? And Olivia's crushed hearing that,
which would be awful if you're talking to your crush and then you hear that and you're like, oh,
I know. So then Vi just, you know, at that point really convinces Olivia to just consider Duke. So then Vi lets Duke know that she told him this, like, yo, you're in. Olivia's like, I'm gonna consider, and Duke's like all like excited. He's like, I don't know what to say, like nervous, and he's like, I'm not good with talking with girls. And Vi's like, wow, you're hot. He's like, what? It's like, oh, you know, you're appealing, man. Like, Jesus Christ.
Oh God.
So then Vi's like, I'll pretend to be a girl and you could practice on me. And then Vi does her normal girl voice, and Duke's like, how the fuck did you do it? Like, don't do that. And they're like, kind of like practicing. Well, she's like,
what's your favorite cheese?
Yeah, ask me like what my favorite cheese is.
Gouda.
Yeah. It's also Gouda. They had this like dumb like practice talk, and then Duke feels something on his foot, and it's a fucking tarantula. And this is my most memorable moment because it just makes me laugh every time. Oh my God. And they both scream, and they're jumping on the bed. They're like, what is that? Oh my God. And Vi's like, you're the man, like, go get it. He's like, no. And they're jumping, they're like holding each other and like screaming. And then the transfer walks out, and they look at each other and scream again. It's the best scene. It's the best scene.
It's so good.
So that happens, and then Vi's mom, I think, calls or leaves a voicemail about the carnival that's happening. Yeah. And she's like, fuck, like, because she said both Sebastian and Vi said they would be there. Yeah. And Duke was like, oh, like, my mom's also part of, like, whatever fucking weird debutante league, so he'll also be there, and everyone will be there. So he's like, it's not gonna be that bad. But of course it's that bad because Vi has to pretend to be both for some reason.
Which I didn't understand. I was like, just have Sebastian flake. I don't understand.
It was weird because they go.
Also, she never, like, no one ever sees
anything as Sebastian.
No.
I was stressed out the whole time. I'm like,
I know. There was no purpose for it.
Right. So they go to the carnival. They immediately bump into Olivia, and Olivia's like, I'm at the kissing booth. Come see me. And Duke's like, fuck yeah, I love carnivals. Yeah. Goes off that way. Vi, dressed as Sebastian, sees Monique, and she's like, hey, I gotta, like, peace. My ex is here. She's crazy. She pieces, and then she goes to a porta potty, dresses like Vi herself. So then She's dressed as Viola, and then she goes to see her mom, and the mom's like, oh, your next shift at the kissing booth, and where's Sebastian? Like, he's supposed to be, doing this. And then Vi runs into Duke as Viola, and Duke's like, do I, like, know you?
Right.
She's like, no. And runs into her ex as well, Justin. And he's just like, oh, like, no one breaks up over a stupid soccer issue. And she's like, it's not stupid, and you're a fucking jerk. And runs off again. So then she goes on, like, a spin ride.
Oh, my God.
To dress as Sebastian.
Never. No.
But I'm like, why?
There was no point. She never went into Sebastian's job, which was at the freaking popcorn station.
You're right. And so she dresses as Sebastian, gets off, immediately sees Monique again, and Monique's trying to go after her. She sees her friend Paul and her other two girlfriends, and they distract Monique while she runs into the bouncing ball thing to dress as Viola again. So she did nothing as Sebastian.
No.
It was just like
it was
chaos.
Stressful.
It was chaos for chaos sake. So she's dressed as Viola again, and she's wearing this cute little red dress. She goes to the kissing booth, and at this point, Duke is next in line to kiss Olivia, and all these gross, like, old men
and little boys.
Archaic. I almost wanted this to be my deleted scene, but I couldn't do that. So,
because it's their first kiss.
Right. So I'm like, oh, I just hate the idea of a kissing booth. But anyway.
Yes, I know. It's so icky.
Vi tells Olivia, hey, like, I'm replacing you right now. So Olivia's like, thank God. Duke's like, fuck, just my luck. And Vi's like, oh, sorry. He's like, no, it's not that. Like, you're attractive. Whatever. And he's like, he's getting nervous. Right. Because Viola's very pretty. And he, originally wanted to kiss Olivia, but it is what it is. Yeah. So then they start kissing, and it's like making out. Right. And Duke's like, okay, I think that was one tick. And she's like, no, a little more. Yeah. And it's pretty intense. And then Justin comes up, and he's like, dude, you're kissing my girlfriend. And Vi's like, ex-girlfriend. Right. So then Duke realizes, oh,
you're Sebastian's sister?
No, they have the same face. Right. Sebastian, has the same face. And then, like, Duke and Justin start fighting. And then Viola's trying to stop them. And they run into, like, the popcorn cart. Just a fucking shit show. They end up just, like, getting kicked out. So it does not end well, but Vi gets a really steamy kiss from Duke. Which so I feel like it worked out. Yeah. So then, back in the dorm, Vi, dressed as Sebastian, goes to the room, and Duke's in there with a fucking tampon.
I know, dude.
And Vi's just like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, this thing, like, actually works. And he pretty much tells him that he, like, got into a fight. Yeah. And of course, Vi knows, but, like, Vi's acting stupid because she's trying to get more info on what he thinks about the kiss. So he's like, oh, why'd you fight? And it's like, oh, like, I was kissing your sister. It's like, oh, like, so what'd you think? And he's like, why are you asking? Like, it's your sister. It's like,
that weird for you?
So Vi's trying really hard to, like, get more, like, what he thinks of her. Right. But is making it weird because she's supposed to be her brother, and no brother would ever ask any of that information.
It would never say the things that she proceeds to say about if you're gonna kiss her real good.
Yeah. And so Vi is like, well, like, who would you rather see naked? And then Duke's the best. He's like, why do you always do that? You talk about women in vulgar ways. Yeah. It's like, it's not just about physical, I want more relationship that talks about more, intimate stuff. Like, and Vi's like, oh, like this? And he's like, yeah. And so they have like a little moment. So at this point, Vi is really into Duke, which obviously.
I'm surprised she, up until this point, wasn't crushing on him.
I know. I would have already been like...
Yes. Literally, the minute I saw him, I would have been like, well, my cover's blown.
Oh, man.
Oopsie.
Day one, I'm actually a girl.
Yeah. So. We can have some extra
crazy
fun.
Don't tell anyone. So then, the next day, they're at the gym, and Duke's like, pumping weights.
Right,
and Vi's just watching him like, huh. Yeah. And he's like, I was thinking about your sister. And he's like, I thought maybe like I could ask her for dinner. And Vi's like, oh, it's like, yeah, you should definitely do that. That's a great idea. So you can see that Duke is like kind of, forgetting about Olivia a little bit, because he seemed to have some sort of chemistry with Viola, even though they only just talked for that and kissed for a little bit. But then Olivia is seeing the situation from afar, and she's like, I'm really into Sebastian, but I'm just not his type. And her friend's like, you're everyone's type.
You just gotta make him jealous.
Yeah, make him jealous. So Olivia goes up to Duke and she's like, so what are you repping now? And of course Duke's flustered,
right,
and is just talking to her, and Vi's like, fuck.
Right, and so of course Sebastian looks like he's getting jealous, but it's actually Viola getting jealous for Duke.
Exactly. So it looks like it's working out in Olivia's favor, but it's actually not. And Vi's like, oh, like, what were you saying before about calling Viola for a date? He's like, no, I don't remember. So then Vi goes off to the side, calls Duke's number as Viola. I was like, hey, Sebastian told me to call you. And he's just like, not.
I'll call you back later.
Yeah, I'm busy. But before he picks up, he does the best improv.
Oh my god, that's improv?
He improv'd it. And so he takes the flip phone and just fucking like
flips his head with it. Yeah.
And it's the best flip phone answer. But yeah, he improv'd that.
Stop.
Channing Tatum is...
That is so funny.
So it's not working out for Vi. Olivia thinks it's working out for her, and Duke also thinks it's working out for him because Olivia's talking to him, but he doesn't realize that Olivia's doing it just to make Sebastian jealous, or Vi jealous. Sebastian. So then Olivia's like, oh, we should go out, you know, dinner tonight, Sario's, and Duke's like, he's like a little kid, he's like, I'm going on a date. And Vi just goes up to Olivia after, he's like, hey, can I talk to you? And Olivia's of course like, yeah, what's up? Thinking it worked. And then Vi's like, I just think, you know, Duke has feelings and you shouldn't just mess with people's feelings like that. And Olivia's like, no, I like him. We're going to go out and, you know, I think he's really hot and blah, blah, blah. And so it's Olivia's standing her ground. Right. And she's like, well, maybe we can double date. Like, I think Eunice is free.
Right.
And Eunice just happened to be running. She's like, I'd love to.
Yeah.
So then they like double date. And so the next scene, they're at the restaurant, Olivia and Duke, and it's really awkward. They're just sitting next to each other, but like they're not talking because
it's like everything's on pause as she waits for Sebastian to walk in the door.
Yeah, so once Vi walks in as Sebastian with Eunice, they both like perk up because Duke's like, great, he can help me, and Olivia's like, great, I can make him jealous again.
Yeah.
So then
she literally opens it by being like, I was just telling Duke how lucky I am to have like a real man around or something. And he's like, you were?
Yeah. He's like, well, I was about to. And she starts like kissing on his like neck a little, and then like Duke starts like kissing on her, and then Vi gets upset and like leaves. So then Olivia's like, wait, and leaves. And so it's just Duke and Eunice there. Yeah. So Toby and the other friend are sitting like a little bit away, and the friend's like, oh,
I guess Eunice is like, hot shit.
There's something about her if Sebastian's taking her out. And Toby's like, why, when I was interested in Eunice, you all made fun of me? He's like, I hate high school.
Yes. I was like, that is like the truest statement of all time. High school is the worst.
So then after there's a scene, and it's Sebastian calling Monique and leaving a voicemail for her, and he's saying that he was in London this whole time. He doesn't know if I told her, but that when he comes home, he wants to talk to her, pretty much to break up with her, because he realizes that she kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And that he's coming home a day early. So then it cuts to another scene, and it's during the debutante season or something, and Vi said she would dress up and do things for her mom.
Yeah.
So she's there, and it's like a dinner thing.
Yeah, she's in like this this white dress that I loved back when I saw this, because it's like tight and it's got like straps.
It's very dated, I think. It looks good on her, but it's definitely something I would never wear myself.
No. Back then in 2000 I would have, but not now.
Yeah. So she's sitting at a table and she's just looking at Olivia, and she's just hating her.
She is like eating like she's like a medieval time.
Yeah, it's like a turkey leg.
Chicken yeah.
And the mom's like, oh, chew like you have a secret.
Yeah. She just starts smiling and chewing.
So then Olivia goes to the bathroom and Vi follows her in. And then Olivia recognizes her from the kissing booth, and Vi's like, oh, I hear you're going out with Duke. You know, he actually has this gland condition. And it was like really gross, pretty much trying to convince Olivia to just not go out with him again. And then Olivia says that she actually doesn't like Duke, but likes Sebastian, and was trying to make him jealous.
Yeah.
And Vi's like, oh, fuck.
Right.
And then Vi's like, all right, you need to just be honest with everyone. Olivia's like, yeah, you're right. She's like, next time I see Sebastian, I'm going to go up to him and tell him I feel and just kiss him. And Vi's like, oh,
don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. And then from the bathroom, Monique was in a stall listening. and she calls Olivia a homewrecker, and they just start fighting. Monique starts it, but she starts fighting Olivia, and then Viola just like jumps on the back. She's fucking smacking the shit out of Monique because she's trashy like that, and we love it. And so they're just fighting and screaming in this bathroom before I think the mom or someone breaks it up. After this, Duke is outside, and then Olivia's outside. And so Duke sees her, and he's a bit afar at this point. He sees her kind of like jogging. I think she's jogging at night. But then she stops and she sees a taxi.
Oh, yes.
And exiting the taxi.
Which, by the way, can we talk about how he's in a motorcycle jacket with a motorcycle helmet?
Yeah.
Duke? Like, they don't play that up at all at any other point?
No. So apparently he rides a motorcycle. It was just like a weird
moment.
Yeah, the
he
way
looks over,
framed.
he sees Olivia running, and he's smiling because...
Yeah.
He's got a little crushy crush.
Yeah, and then she runs up to whoever's leaving the taxi, which is Sebastian, but the real Sebastian. So she runs up to him and just kisses him, and then she recites like one of his lyrics to him, and then she says,
in his ear. She like never looks at his face.
Right, and she's like, I'll see you at the game. And she does this like real quick and then runs off. And Sebastian's like, haha, I'm gonna like this school.
Yeah.
That happens. Duke sees that. So Duke thinks Olivia kissed Sebastian that he knows.
The Viola Sebastian.
Yes, Viola Sebastian.
So he thinks one of his best friends is betraying him.
Right. And then Monique ends up checking her voicemail and hears the voicemail from the real Sebastian saying that he was in London and that he was gonna come home a day early. So Monique's like, what the fuck? Like, what does this mean? So Vi, dressed as Sebastian, goes to the room, and Duke is like, you think you know someone until you don't, and you realize you're wrong about them. And so Vi thinks that Duke knows that Vi is like pretending to be a boy, but it's not. As she starts talking, she realizes that it's something different. And Duke's like, I saw you with Olivia. She's like, what are you talking about? Because she doesn't know.
Right.
He's like, you're, just trying to push me away so you could have Olivia. And he pretty much kicks Vi outside the room. Kicks him out of the room, but then Monique shows up a little after, and Duke's like, Sebastian's not here, take his cell phone. And Monique's like, this is not his cell phone. Right. And she's like walking, she bumps into Malcolm, who has figured out Viola has a twin named Sebastian. And then running into Monique verifies his theory because Monique realizes that it's Viola's phone.
Because Justine is calling.
Justine is calling, yeah. So then they both approach the headmaster and let them know like everything that they know. So
and the headmaster's like, how sure are you about this? And they're like, positive.
Yes. So then the real Sebastian's in the room now.
Yes, because basically other Sebastian, Viola Sebastian, was kicked out of the room.
Yes.
And went to go stay at Eunice's.
Yes, because Eunice was like, if you need a place to stay.
Yeah.
So she stays with Eunice and then sleeps in because Eunice was just watching her sleep.
Oh my god.
She was like, you just look so peaceful. So she's late for the game, but Sebastian was woken up by the team to go to the game.
And he just goes.
And he's just like, okay. He puts the uniform on, everything.
His face painted.
And I'm like, why are you doing this, bro? Like, why are you going this far? But he really wants to see this mystery girl that kissed him because she said she'd be at the game. But I'm like, you don't have to fucking go on the team.
Right.
So at this point, he's like on the field. He doesn't know shit about soccer.
He's playing soccer so bad. Like, even I don't play soccer, but he's like kicking it like baby kicks.
Yeah, it's awful. And so Vi realizes this. She runs to the field and she's hiding like behind the bleachers. She's like, oh my god, like, this is horrible. So then the headmaster comes out, and I'm like, god, why would this be announced?
Worst headmaster move ever.
So he goes onto the field, stops the game, and he comes up with Malcolm and Monique, and he's like, I have to make an announcement.
Before this, we find out that the headmaster invited both of the parents to the game, and the parents are sitting next to each other at this point, and they're like, why are you here? Because the headmaster invited me. And so the headmaster orchestrated this whole big to-do to unveil, instead of calling everyone to his office to have a conversation about it.
No, yeah, he had to make it dramatic. And so he's like, Sebastian Hastings is a girl. And everyone's like, what? And Sebastian's, because the real Sebastian's on the field, he's like, I'm not a girl.
Yes.
And he proves it by pulling his pants
Malcolm's like,
down.
prove it. And so he shows his little Johnson.
And I'm like, bro, jail. I'm like, y'all are high school.
Yes,
awful.
this is public indecency. The police would have carted you away.
This and the other one is my deleted.
God,
because
I
I'm like, why? This was just a popular trope, I guess.
Right, it must have been considering, but like, look at this underage.
Right. So Sebastian proves he's not a girl.
Right.
So then the principal's like, he's like, okay, you two need to come with me.
He's like, this is a play. We script. Okay.
So the whole thing just like happens, and then at this point Monique tries to like come up to Sebastian, and he's like, we're breaking up, like I'm breaking up with you. So he officially breaks up with Monique at this point. So then the coach also benches Sebastian because he's been fucking it up. So then halftime, Vi ends up being able to pull Sebastian to the side and let him know that she's been impersonating him. And
he's like, lit.
Yeah, he's like, oh, okay.
Whatever.
Doesn't think much about it.
Nope.
And he's like, yeah, this girl like kissed me. She's like over there. And Vi's like, oh my God, like that's what Duke was talking about. So then they swap clothes. Vi ends up going back to the soccer field and like convinces the coach to let her back on the field. So then the game's going. Duke is avoiding Vi. He does not want to pass the ball to him, because he's upset with him. And so it's fucking the game up. Justin is the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And he's just like being
such a prick.
A bastard. And then Vi and Duke start arguing a little bit. And Vi's like, you just have to like listen to me, like really like trust me. And then Justin cuts in and just starts fucking fighting with Duke again. So they're fighting.
That's when the coach comes on the field and they're kind of trying to break it all up. And Vi decides now's the time to tell everyone.
Yeah, now's the time to let Duke know so that he knows that he did not betray Duke in the way that he thinks.
Right.
So then Vi, because Olivia comes up too, and Vi's like, there's nothing going on between us at all. And then she tells Duke, she's like, I love you. And everyone just stops.
Yes. What?
And looks, and Duke's like, what the fuck? Vi ends up taking the wig off, and it's like, I've been pretending to be my brother for this and this and this. And he's like, well, just because you were wearing a wig doesn't mean you're a girl. And she's like, okay, and pulls her top up.
My God.
And I'm like, bro, stop.
Right. And then the parents are there, and they're like, both of our children just expose themselves.
Yeah. Which, I would have been very upset as a parent. So then they're like, oh, okay, she's a girl. So the other coach,
right,
Cornwall's like, you can't have a girl play according to the handbook. And then the coach from Illyria just rips it. He's like, what handbook?
Right.
He's like, the girl can play. Like, we don't discriminate between gender, whatever. Right. And I'm like, good on you. So Vi did not have to pretend.
Right. This whole time.
She could have maybe just transferred and then just tried out for the boys team.
Right.
But it's fine, whatever. So she's able to play still. All this stuff happens.
They win.
Yeah, she ends up getting the
winning goal
kick.
Because Justin's like trying to get into her head or whatever, but he's just the worst.
And she does like a very CGI kick into the thing, and they win. So then after the game, she officially introduces Sebastian with Olivia.
Yeah.
And then Toby admits his feelings for Eunice.
Yeah.
And they share the most awful, disgusting kiss.
Yes.
And then Duke actually does not approach Vi and kind of walks off.
Yeah, he's been betrayed.
Yes. So then he gets a gift, and it's a giant. I don't know how much money this would have cost.
Would have been so expensive.
It would have been so expensive.
I thought about this too, and I was like, I think it's because when you're in high school, you don't think about money the same way.
No.
Because me now, I'm like, that man is not going to eat all that cheese.
No.
That's probably $200 of Gouda, if not more.
I guess her parents do have money. So.
Her parents do have money, but she probably just used her allowance and was just like, you know what, this is a big gesture.
Yeah.
I blew money on stupid things all the time. Maybe not $200 on Gouda, but
maybe not.
It had to at least minimum $200.
Right. So it was pretty much a thing, a gift for him, and then an invite to the debutante ball. So then it cuts to the event. Vi is like not dressed up. She's just like, like I just need some air. Olivia, everyone's there. Everyone's happy except her. So she walks out, and this scene, I forgot about it, and I was just like, oh my God, I was like in tears because it's so funny. She walks out, and it's like real foggy at night, and she sees like a man walking towards her, and she's like, I didn't think you'd come. I was so happy to see you. Like, I'm so sorry for this. And she's talking, but like they're not saying anything. And she's like, please, like say something. And they finally get close enough. It's a janitor. And he's like, I gotta turn the sprinklers off. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were someone else. But then behind her is Duke, and he's dressed up,
Oh, yes.
And then he pretty much admits that he keeps thinking about her and all this stuff and all this sweet stuff. And
he misses his best friend.
Yeah, because they bonded and, you know, they really like each other. And he was able to open up because, you know, he thought he was a guy. So they end up kissing, and then at the end, everyone's walking in together. Justin and Monique are together, which is an awful pairing. Right. Sebastian and Olivia walking together, and then Viola and Duke walk in, and she's got this really cute
that
dress. I mean, it looks great on her. And that's how it ends. It ends happy. Yeah. Everyone wins at the end. Yes. You know, now they're playing soccer together. I guess she stayed at Illyria.
I guess so, yeah.
She's wearing the red. I would have, because fuck that coach.
Yeah, the other coach was like all good with her. I mean, her parents obviously have enough money that they can do it, and her parents are about to get remarried now. They're like ready to date each other. Yeah, they're like super into each other again.
Yeah, so it works out in the end. Most memorable was tarantula scene. Scenes that should be deleted was any flashing scene.
Yeah, that's fair. Please. Anytime that there's flashing, in general, I don't like it, but especially when it's a high school.
It's just too much.
Yeah.
Love interest, smash. Dude, obviously. Side character, I said Olivia, and I would smash. How likely are you to fall in love? 10.
Obvi. I mean, you're sharing a room with Channing Tatum.
Yeah, like, he's sensitive and shy.
He says, don't talk about women like that.
Yeah.
Oh, sold.
Bet. All right. Would you recommend? Yes.
Obviously.
It's a good movie. So the movie still holds up, and I'm surprised the critics rated it like so low.
Yeah, you're gonna have to read a couple of them because I'm very curious.
It's kooky hybrid of slapstick gender jokes already had whiskers on them in Shakespeare's day.
I guess that means that they're old. I don't know. Your commentary is...
The film follows the most predictable paths. Okay.
So do you.
In a lame attempt to amuse older teens, She's the Man manages to alienate the parents of the younger ones with tampon jokes.
Why? This isn't for parents.
It's PG-13.
Right.
Anything resembling real wit or charm is strictly AWOL. All right, David, no.
We don't have wit or charm, apparently. Yeah. We were very...
The critics rate this low. This movie was funny. Like, yeah, it had some jokes that were like, okay.
What was the critic rating on this one?
44.
44.
Audience is 79.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Once again, the audience knows best.
Correct. So, yeah, watching this made me sad about Amanda Bynes because she was, like, my role model.
Yeah, she was
she was that girl, and so, but... It is what it is.
Yep.
My rating is a 4.7.
Wow.
It's just a funny...
It's good.
A good movie.
So next week, we have...
Our next thread.
Which we won't tell, but it's probably super obvious.
Yeah.
Anyway, I am recommending for Demi... The Holiday. The Holiday is a movie where two women switch houses with each other for the holiday season. The one woman lives in England, I think in like a Cornwall sort of style tiny village.
Okay.
And the other woman lives in a bougie house in LA. They switch, and through happenstance, each meet men in those respective cities and find maybe love.
Oh, okay.
But maybe not. Also, Jude Law is in it.
Oh, I love Jude Law.
Yeah, I know. Cameron Diaz as well, Jack Black, and Kate Winslet. Oh my God, we should be arrested.
We should.
Okay, so Kate Winslet. So it's
a lot of hot people.
Star-studded cast.
Okay.
Very, very good. Jack Black's role in this, you're not going to know what to do with yourself. It's so different. It's so different. It's amazing.
This movie also has a star-studded cast. But I don't know if you'll recognize the faces when you watch it.
Okay.
Except for one.
What? Oh, probably.
You'll know.
Yeah. Okay.
So my movie's Krampus. Fantastic holiday movie. Krampus is about a dysfunctional family, which includes Adam Scott.
Oh, my boy.
Yeah, our boy.
Of course he's in this movie.
Yeah, and they pretty much are losing their Christmas spirit.
Oh, so
and
sad.
so then it unleashes Krampus into the area, and they have to survive Krampus.
Stop.
Yeah, there's not much to it.
Okay.
It's a jolly good time.
Well, I'm excited.
You'll like it.
Excited. Well, we'll see.
You'll like it.
Okay. I don't know. You seem to think I would like Final Destination. So
this is actually has comedy in it. And Adam Scott.
Well, I love Adam Scott.
You at least rate it 2 stars.
Okay.
At least.
Okay. Well, I'll like it at least equal to or greater than Final Destination.
Yeah. Got it. I will bet you'll like it more.
Okay.
So we'll see what
find
happens.
out.
We'll find out in the next episode
of How Do You Watch This?
Goodbye.
Podcast. Yeah. If you want to follow us on our socials, we are on Instagram. How do you watch this? Threads. How do you watch this?
Yep.
TikTok. How do you watch? We have a Discord, which you can find on the milkshake that's on our Instagram. Super active conversations happening there about the discussions. We have an email, howdoyouwatchthis@gmail.com. Rate, review, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. But more than that, we are doing a fancy episode in two episodes. In 2 episodes, 2 weeks, we are going to answer your pressing questions. Anything you want to know, we're going to recap our top movies of the year, whether that be most horrifying or most lovely. We'll figure that out amongst ourselves. So anyway, ask us your questions. Please. If you don't ask us questions, we'll just make some up.
We'll ask each other.
Yeah. Demi, what did you like best about podcasting with me?
We'll figure it out. We'll make it entertaining.
Yeah. So entertaining. At least we'll have fun.
Yeah, we'll have fun.
Yeah.
It's fine.
All right. Love you. Bye.
Okay, bye everyone. See you next time.